Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. A new polling out of Virginia today on whether the governor and lieutenant governor should resign or remain in office. Governor Ralph Northam under fire for having racist images. One guy in blackface, one guy in Klan robes on his medical school yearbook page. Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax under fire because of 2 accusations of sexual assault going back to 2000. Now, Fairfax categorically states that the encounters were consensual and has indicated he'd like the allegations criminally investigated to clear his name. Now, this polling out from Quinnipiac says 36% say Fairfax should resign, 36% says he should stay. An Ipsos poll, the numbers 35% resign, 25% remain. Now, Northam fares better, with more people saying that he should remain in office. Here are his numbers in Quinnipiac. 42% say resign, 48% say stay. Ipsos poll, 31% resign, 43% say he should stay. Also, Henry, go to my iPad here. Northam was supposed to attend a racial reconciliation event tomorrow at HBCU, Virginia Union University. He has now dropped those plans because students there said they didn't want him there. Why? The event tomorrow, if you look at, was supposed to coincide with the commemoration of the students who protested segregation in Richmond nearly 60 years ago. The student government president said that Northam's presence could overshadow the event. Northam tweeted that he would respect the wishes of the student body. Joining us right now to talk about this here is, of course, someone who knows politics there very well, Dr. Wes Bellamy, a city councilor from Charlottesville, Virginia. Dr. Bellamy, glad to have you back at Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Thank you, good brother.
Here's what is still very interesting here as you begin to study these dynamics. First and foremost, Northam says, I'm absolutely staying. I'm now going to focus on racial inequality and things along those lines. One, highly cynical because you're only saying that because of the blackface Klan controversy. Had this been his agenda before this came out, okay, it makes sense. And so it's really patronizing to say, oh, because of the blackface in the Klan photo, and he claims I'm not I'm either person in there, and I don't know how these pictures got on my page. It's kind of patronizing to say, oh, now I'm going to focus for the rest of my term as governor on racial inequality.
Indeed. And Brother Roland, I want to say one thing first. We owe you a great deal of gratitude. Last week when I was on your show, I'm actually a professor at Virginia University, and I did your show in front of my students, and they were asking me exactly what was going on, what were the demands from the Virginia Black politicals. And after that, they had a town hall meeting discussing some of the things that they want to see, and they listed their information. And then subsequently, you see the governor stating that he wasn't going to come tomorrow. So a lot of that was spearheaded during our conversation last week. So kudos to you, my brother.
Appreciate it.
Now, to answer your question, it is absolutely patronizing for the governor to say now that he's going to lead this discussion in regards to racial reconciliation and equity. But not only that, I'm just really appalled, and to be quite honest, I'm flabbergasted, and I'm not quite comprehending where these individuals are, who they're talking to when they're taking these polls, the Quinnipiac Poll, the George Mason Poll, because I'm speaking to black folk from across the Commonwealth every day, and it's consistent. People have been saying either Ralph needs to resign, which is our preference, and definitely he does not need to be the one leading the discussion and revolving around race and equity. And then I'm also rather disturbed that when you see this poll and these polls come out, the underlying issue at hand, in my personal opinion, is that continuously we can see 2 individuals who have admitted to essentially copying minstrels by putting blackface on. They can remain in office, and people are saying, oh, yeah, they can say, but then the jury is still out on Justin Fairfax, who has only allegations. And again, we need to take sexual assault very serious, but there has not been any investigation done yet. He hasn't admitted to anything, but these polls like to suggest as if it's okay for the governor to do such, but we want to look at Justin in a negative light. So who are they talking to?
So here's what also is still, and I've been asking this question on this show, and I would love to get either Dr. Tyson's attorney or Watson's attorney on here.
Uh-huh.
You have a DA in Suffolk County in Boston who says, hey, if a complaint is filed, I will investigate. Tyson's attorney says she's going to meet with the DA. Meredith Watson's attorney keeps saying that, no, we want an impeachment hearing. What I don't understand, and I would love to get your thoughts on how you're seeing this, an impeachment hearing is a political process. A criminal investigation is you lie to investigators. I mean, you're under oath. That's a legal deal. I don't understand, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, why the two women who are accusing him and their lawyers are pushing more for an impeachment hearing and not a criminal investigation.
I have no idea. And just from my perspective, we've been very clear from my stance and also talking about the Virginia Black politicals. If an investigation if an investigation does need to take place, because Justin has called for one, it appears that the individuals throughout the people throughout the Commonwealth would also like to see the process play out. I'm not going to get into why they're choosing one method over the other, but I would hope that an investigation takes place so that we can find out the truth one way or the other, because either if Mr. Fairfax committed these crimes, or committed what he's been accused of, then he does need to resign. But if he is not, then his name needs to be cleared.
All right. Councilman West Belding, I appreciate that.
Can I say
yeah,
one
go
more
ahead.
thing,
Go ahead.
Roland?
Go ahead.
Just listening to the young man who's on your show right before I came on, and for him to say, as a black man, that there were evil people on both sides, I just want you to know, brother, that I was there that day. I was the vice mayor at the time, still a city councilman. There were individuals, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and so forth, who had AR-15s, who had machetes, who had swords, who had knives, who literally ran over a crowd of peaceful protesters and killed someone, while the other side, quote unquote, who you are talking about as your president has, people had signs. They were walking around literally just chanting. Now, I'm not going to say that, I don't understand how you could use that same term, specifically as a black man. These same folks who were there were walking around with signs with my name on it saying that West Bellamy is a nigger. These are the same people who said that they were going to hang me from a tree. These same people send death threats to my house every week. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't get trolled by these same folks who are there. So for you to say, brother, there were good people on both sides, I want you to know personally, to myself as well as my city, that is extremely offensive. And I hope you check that.
Well, let me respond and let me help you understand, and I'll explain my comment. There were people in Charlottesville who wanted to march in favor of free speech with American flags. There were also people that wanted to come out and protest Confederate statues. There were also people on both sides who were there literally to cause chaos and distension, and the kind of distension and chaos that you ultimately saw unfold towards the end of the event when, unfortunately, someone did pass away.
Well, also
to sit here, excuse me.
There are also people there. Hold on, I gotta add. Hold on. No, Robert.
Let me finish,
but I need to add to it. Were there also people who were there who were chanting against Jews?
Yes, there were racists there as well.
Okay, go right ahead.
There were racists there. Like I said, there were people who wanted to support free speech, and there were also people there who wanted to protest the Confederate statues, and there were protesters on the left side, so to speak, who were there to cause detention and harm. As someone who's personally been assaulted violently at one of these protests.
Hold up, in Charlottesville? No, we're discussing Charlottesville. Were you in Charlottesville?
Excuse me.
No, were you in Charlottesville? It's yes or no?
Obviously, you know that I wasn't.
Thank you. Obviously, go ahead. No, go ahead. But I want to establish whether you were there or not.
Who's been assaulted at one of these protests by the same kind of hyper-liberal people who were out there in Charlottesville, I know that there were indeed good and bad people on both sides. I'm sorry, your rhetorical device is not going to scare me into saying that I'm somehow sorry for you feeling offended upon something that is just a reality. There were good and bad people on both sides.
Counselor, go ahead.
Saying that was not at all offensive or discriminatory in any way.
Counselor, go ahead.
Well, my question is, though, brother, you were not there. So how can you say that there were individuals, as you're describing this, the left side, who were there to cause chaos? My brother, you weren't there.
Are you going to deny that? Are you going to deny that there weren't people on the side of protesters in favor of the left side who were there throwing cans, starting detention, causing fights? Like, there was chaos all around. I don't know why you can't just admit it. I know it doesn't fit your narrative.
Exactly. So yes,
I don't have to be there to know that.
I'm going to tell you what happened. literally, so we're going to talk on specifically, let's start on Friday, August 11th, in which we were at a church service and we were surrounded by 500 white supremacists with torches who literally barricaded a group of people in the church before they subsequently went over to the University of Virginia and surrounded the statue of Thomas Jefferson.
Fact.
That was on the night of Friday, August 11th. On the morning of Saturday, August the 12th, we had a peaceful church sunrise service. Myself and Dr. Cornell West and members of First Baptist Church on West Main Street. We marched from First Baptist Church to the African American Heritage Center, the Jefferson School. That was completely peaceful. There was no one there looking to fight. While we were walking, these white supremacists with guns were on the other side of the street, taunting us, throwing things at us, and so forth. We then marched from the African American Heritage Center to McGuffey Park, which is adjacent to Market Street Park, which is where everything transpired. And those individuals tried to surround us again with their AR-15s, their other guns, their weapons, and their signs. I was with about 100 different clergy members and members from the community. Nobody there at that time was looking to fight or do anything. This was all at about 10 a.m. And then when their rally was supposed to start at 11, when we were still in McGuffey Park, they began assaulting folks. That's how everything started. And I can tell you this unequivocally, brother, because I was there. So when you say there were people who were
there who were independent journalists who got pepper sprayed and attacked for no reason other than the fact that they were perceived as being in favor of the free speech mark or the Unite the Right rally. So it was violent. You may say it was completely kumbaya on your side. You're not going to get me to believe that. I know exactly what happens at those liberal protests. And I know how violent the far left is. So I'm not going to...
Counselor, go ahead. Counselor, go ahead.
Brother, may I just give you a piece of fact? And I'm not here to debate something being super liberal or not. I'm talking to you as another black man. Okay. And I want you to understand, brother, I call you brother because I love you, but I want you to know that you said you saw independent journalists and those of that nature who were pepper sprayed. Let me assure you, my friend, there was no one who began fighting, no one from the quote unquote left side or the clergy members or the folks who were there.
How can you even definitively say that?
Sir, I'm talking, please. May I finish? None of the fights occurred until shortly after 11 a.m. when the white supremacists came into the crowd in which we were in and they began to throw things and then they started punching people in the street. I was there. I saw it with my own two eyes. That is when everything started. I know this because I was getting a police escort. That is how everything popped off. So, brother, I just want you to know, man, this is not like a left versus right. My brother, when you say there were good and bad people on both sides, brother, the people who were clergy members and walking with signs aren't ones who had guns or who had nooses in their hands and said that they wanted to kill me.
Sure, and the people with American flags were also good people. Everyone there wasn't a white supremacist, so don't even try to push that narrative.
But there was a hell of a lot of white supremacists who were there. And there were a hell of a lot of people who were white supremacists who were beating folks, who have been prosecuted, who have now gone to jail and prison as a result of their actions on that day. And so those are undeniable facts.
Good and bad people on both sides.
Okay, all right, gotcha. All right, well, it's real, Counselor. First of all, Counselor, thanks a bunch. Scott, I want to get a comment from Scott, and also bring Monique back into the conversation. Scott, go ahead.
I just think you're in denial about this reality. The young woman that was run over by the white supremacists,
Heather Heyer.
Heather Heyer. What was she doing wrong? And the people around her, because they were, quote, they were protesting.
I spoke to her mom
I don't care about that.
About political violence.
I'm saying that political violence. What were her and her people doing when the car ran over them? What were the young men doing when the young black men? Hold on. When they were getting beat by the white supremacists, this is all on video. Or the white supremacists who took out a gun in the middle of the march and stuff. And sure, people were yelling back and forth. He took out a 45 or whatever he took out and started shooting at them, right?
I saw
so tell me the left. But who on the left?
It's an open carry
what
state.
Group on the left was firing their weapons and beating.
How are this, Rob? No, hold on, Scott, I got it. Robert. How many folks on the Robert? How many folks on the Robert? I got a question. It's real basic. Robert, this is very basic. Robert, this is very basic. Robert, you're not going to tell me to hold on my show. Robert, the question is this. How many people on the left will you say are bad?
I wasn't there.
How many people on the left will you say, Robert, how many people on the left will you say are bad? how many of them have been convicted and gone to prison?
Good question.
I know at least one, the person who assaulted me at a rally because
No.
you
You weren't in Charlottesville.
His name is Richard.
No. You were not in Charlottesville. I'm asking you a question. Since you say there are bad people on both sides, I'm asking Robert, hold up.
Let's just say
I'm going to ask you a question again.
Of Charlottesville
I'm going to ask you a question again.
Okay.
How many people who were bad on the left have been prosecuted and gone to jail as a result of violence on that day? Take your time.
I don't know. It doesn't seem that the district attorney of Charlottesville really wants to pursue those cases.
Monique Presley, let me bring you in here.
Narrative.
Monique, let me bring you in here. Again, Monique, it's very interesting when I asked the question, because if you say there were bad people who were causing problems on the left, and you can't answer the question as to if any of them were prosecuted and have gone to jail, and then when you say there was video, guess what? That's called evidence. Monique, go right ahead before I go to my next story.
Right, because we're trafficking right now in narratives and not in facts and not in evidence.
Correct.
And I would just invite...
She's talking about you, Robert.
She's talking about you.
Go ahead, Monique.
The lack of self-awareness is listening.
Put forth some facts and some evidence to go with this both sides narrative. I can just feel breath leaving my body trying to argue it, so I'm not going to. What I will say is that there is plenty of evidence to show what the far right extremists, and that's the thing. I don't understand why people who are supposed to be mainstream conservatives, especially the black ones, feel the need to defend hate. That's not what the Republican Party is. That's not what conservatives are. You don't have to be married to everything that criminals do in order to justify your positions on things like economics, healthcare, education. You can be a conservative and still call hate hate, and you don't need the hate to match up. Because when people do things that are wrong, like the first thing that should have been said to that councilman who was doing his best to reach out to you, Robert, was, I'm sorry that you were the target of hate. I am sorry that your peaceful event was interrupted. It pains me to know that you experienced that. You don't have to say me too, me too, me too, me too. Okay, something happened to you at a separate time in a separate place. Something's happened to everybody.
Yeah, and it's not relevant at all what happened to you.
I get death threats every month.
Right?
My website goes down every week. Who cares? That's part of doing business and the role that we play. What I am saying to you is get a grip on what it means to be conservative or even be a supporter of this insane, treasonous president, and know that that is different than supporting criminal behavior, hate crimes, and murders. And you don't have to say that it's happening on both sides in order to stand against it. Free yourself from thinking you need to defend such things.
I decry all violence. I decry all violence on the right and the left. I'm the only one so far who said violence on the right and left is bad. You guys seem to pretend it doesn't exist at all. I'm telling you.
Actually, Robert, I asked you a basic, very basic, fundamental question. You said there's video evidence of people on the left who are committing violence, and I asked you how many of those people have been prosecuted and have gone to jail or prison, and you don't have an answer.
And it's not the district attorney's fault.
There's violence on the left and the right.
It's very simple. It's very, if there is violence, you prosecute those who are committing violence.
Yeah,
and what we also know is that there were black people who, and let's just be clear, okay, in Charlottesville, they were not in a hurry to find those white supremacists. There were black people who were actually raising money, and they were using social media to identify individuals. And so you would think that in Charlottesville, if they were serious about that, they would have convicted folks on the left and the right. But look, find the evidence and come back. But until then, don't try it. All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. Beginning of the year, in terms of focusing on the health. And, of course, for me, it's all about my golf season and, of course, improving core. And so many of us out here want to lose weight, feel better, get more energy. And one of the ways you can do that is with the D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse. Now, I always love the way it look and feel after it's over, but it's not just when it is over. It's also about how you continue on changing eating habits, drinking more water, and eating healthier foods as well. Now, look, many of us abuse our bodies based upon what we eat, especially when it comes to weekend, excessive eating, and processed foods, all that good stuff. So the full body cleanse is about actually getting rid of those toxic buildup in your body that drag you down. So if you want to try the D-Herbs cleanse, go to dherbs.com, dherbs.com, and use the promo code Roland for a discount at checkout. Now, in addition, on the website, you can call 1-866-4DHERBS, 1-866-4DHERBS, and again, use the promo code Roland, okay? That's what you can do. And so, D-Herbs, Full Body Cleanse, we appreciate them being one of the partners, Roland Martin Unfiltered. So go to dherbs.com and use the promo code Roland. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.